In the last few weeks in Pro Football Weekly's MVP meter, we've basically said that it's a runaway win by Aaron Rodgers and the race now is for second place. But after looking at last week's game in the last few weeks, that might not be the case. Drew Brees, I think, has a legitimate chance of catching him. I think we may owe Mr. Brees a little bit of an apology after anointing Rodgers, as you mentioned, as the runaway winner in this very seat last week. Rodgers went out and had his second pretty poor game in a row, his worst game of the season by a long shot. Meanwhile, Drew Brees put together one of the finest passing performances we have ever seen. First quarterback in NFL history, over 400 yards passing, with 5 touchdowns and 80% of his passes completed. What can you even say? It's just absolutely insane. And he did it in 3 quarters, which I think is even more amazing. And it may not really be fair because Rodgers was so good for so long at the beginning of the season, but if you look at just the last 5 weeks, it's not close. Brees' numbers are far above Aaron Rodgers, but you can't just judge him on that, but there is still room to grow in the last couple of weeks. Right. You got it. You hit it on the head. He hasn't thrown a pick in over 5 weeks. He's on pace not only to break Dan Marino's record, but really to shatter it at this point. He needs 304 passing yards. He could get that Monday night against the Falcons. So you got to be careful. That's what makes this so interesting. Rodgers was so good out of the gate, but he's hit a little bit of a wall here, and he hasn't gotten a lot of help from his teammates. Injuries, offensive linemen dropping like flies. Protection's been a major issue. Receivers holding onto the football has also been a big issue. So he's going to need some help from his teammates if he's going to be able to pull this out down the stretch. And you want to finish strong, but you don't even know how much Aaron Rodgers is going to play the last couple weeks. You mentioned the injuries to the offensive line. You don't want to get killed out there if there's a chance that you don't need him to be playing. You already have the #1 seed locked up. How much that might affect voters down the stretch. And meanwhile, of course, Brees still playing for that home field advantage throughout. He's got, as we mentioned, a big game Monday night against the Falcons. So he's not going to be sitting. He's gunning for that record, and he needs to keep getting wins to perhaps get that first-round bye for his team. So that will play an effect for sure. It seemed unfathomable a few weeks ago, but I think it's a legitimate race. These last 2 games, Drew Brees has a chance of catching Aaron Rodgers for the MVP. You can see Pro Football Weekly's full MVP meter at profootballweekly.com.
It's never too early to start thinking about the NFL Draft, and Pro Football Weekly's new draft database has you covered. Check out updated player rankings for over 750 prospects and our exclusive PFW Stock Watch. Just go to the Draft tab at profootballweekly.com.